Hey everybody, I'm Joe DeGanzik, and this is, I almost said it was Lighting Answers. It's the 3rd anniversary of the show this month, actually a couple days ago, but anyways, it's not Lighting Answers, it's Smarter Home Life. The name changed a year ago, but it originally was called Lighting Answers because it was a way of getting answers out to people who had questions about LED lighting and similar topics and home automation, which of course I answer on these Q&A episodes. This one specifically is home automation. Anyways, it's Smarter Home Life. That's the name of the show. I should know it since I host the show all the time. Anyways, I kind of want to jump on into it. But before I do that, I want to talk about our wonderful people who contribute every single month. Some of them have been doing it for 2 years. Thank you so much. And now it's more important than ever as we've got some really cool stuff coming up that Patreon is going to support even more than it has in the past. So some new people, some new supporters, Dustin Paye, I believe that's the right name. That's the right pronunciation. It's Spanish, I believe. And John are new people, even within the past week or so. And others like Michael D. and Steve R. who've been contributing for a while, but recently chose to up their monthly contribution. That's right. You're hearing that right. People are monthly contributing, supporting the show. Patreon is this cool platform. Thousands of creators use it, just like myself, to support literally what they do for a living. And it allows you, the viewer, the fan, to say, you know what, I think he's doing a great job. I think I want to support this so that he can keep doing it. And I don't have my props here, but literally some of these people have been supporting it, maybe for the longest time, but maybe just at the minimum level. And that's fine. If we had thousands of people doing that, well, we'd be actually doing really well. There's a whole campaign coming up in the next couple of days. It's really exciting. It's the 3rd anniversary of the show. This is a big year for both the smart home, or as I call it, the smarter home industry, and also for Smarter Home Life. So thank you to everyone who is contributing. And there's probably an address on the screen somewhere, supportshl.com. That's just a kind of a quick redirect over to Patreon and our page. You can see all the rewards that you can get, the kind of cool perks, the goals we've got set out. It's really going to be fantastic. More details coming up on that in some new videos coming out this weekend, like very, very soon. So in fact, this one is probably coming out on Saturday, which is Earth Day. I've got a special Earth Day message that's coming out as well if you haven't already seen it. So the other thing for April, this is covering Q&As from March 2017. It is not yet the end of April, so it still counts, and I'm not terribly behind. So a new thing just for this month, and I've kind of had this thought a little while ago, so I wanted to ask you, and please send your questions in, send the answers in, and we'll do some kind of like infographic or some kind of something fun. We'll be done with this, or I'll mention it on the next Q&As, is how do you use home automation or automated devices or connected devices, whether that simply is a sensor, connected lighting, a thermostat, an irrigation controller, whatever it is that you can control, even if it's just an app on your phone. I'm curious, what is, let's just say, the number one thing, the number one way that you use home automation in, let's just say, your daily life? Send it in to questions@smarterhomelife.com. Use the subject line, how I use home automation. It's that simple. And maybe we'll do, like I said, we'll do some kind of cool infographic, or I'll mention it, and I was gonna say we'll do a giveaway or a prize, but not really. I'll mention it'd be pretty interesting, and I'm curious actually with the fans of this show, how you really use home automation. So there's that. Let's go right to the questions. And these are from comments actually from the Smarter Home Life YouTube channel. So from Alan, great video, great channel. Thanks so much. I really do enjoy making these videos. The Q&As are actually easier to make than the other more scripted and kind of more produced videos, because I can just sit here and kind of have a conversation with you. I'm really having a conversation with the camera, but you get the point. I made it all the way to the end. I think he was talking about one of the recent Q&A episodes, which was really long because I had to get through a bunch of them that I kind of had missed for a little while. I'm glad I did. I use a combination of Hue lighting, you know, Philips Hue, we all know Philips Hue, and Lutron switches. I don't have one of those in my hand. Lutron is a company that's been making lighting controls for many different industries for decades. Great company. So now they're also in the smarter home game, and they make famously the Casita system, among many other systems that are connected. I use Lutron switches with no issues to date other than HomeKit related stuff. HomeKit does have its own challenges. I've run into those. In fact, I was talking with a friend of mine about our own HomeKit woes, mutual problems, just a few hours ago, actually. I contribute my success to taking a lot of time on the placement of my hubs along with additional coverage of Wi-Fi in my home, since I had the luxury of being able to wire in everything to reduce dead zones. He's talking about that most of these hubs you have to hardwire, or at least you're going to put them on a physical Ethernet network connection, and then they're going to provide that connectivity wirelessly to their devices. And again, whether that's Hue or Lutron, SmartThings, any of these hubs in general. Looking forward to seeing more that the channel has to offer. Cheers. Well, there's going to be a lot more that the channel is going to have to offer, and thank you for your question, and kind of really not a question necessarily, but update. But I can speak on this, that it really is important, especially these days. You're seeing a number of these Wi-Fi extender systems, famously the Eero, the little round-shaped devices, which Google, of course, has mimicked, but there's been a number of them, kind of in the more, I don't want to say the corporate world, but more for business and on the commercial side. A company called, and it was on the tip of my tongue, and just completely forgot it. Ubiquiti, that's right. Ubiquiti. There was that aide right there who just looked it up. Not really. Anyways, Ubiquiti kind of started that process a couple of years ago with their devices that are kind of more aimed for the commercial space, not really residential, but they do have some. Actually, a friend of mine uses it in his own home. But anyways, this is a big thing, having good Wi-Fi signal, as we do have more and more of these devices like Wi-Fi light bulbs, like the LIFX bulbs, and just a number of other Wi-Fi devices throughout your home, whether they be things like smartphones and tablets and computers, or they happen to be controlled devices that are running, controlling your lights and appliances and everything in between. Literally, you've got to have good Wi-Fi signal coverage. In addition to that, you've got to have good signal coverage for everything else, and that is such as if you've got a SmartThings router, or as he talks about, something with a Lutron. If you have a large home, let's just say something that's 1,000, 1,500, 1,600 square feet, if you stick it in one corner of your home, you're just not going to have great coverage across your entire place, and that would be a reason to get some sort of extender device. Wi-Fi, we see that, but not necessarily so much in the home automation world with Z-Wave and Zigbee, because generally as you add devices, those devices, and I'll say this in general, do become repeaters for the network. Not in every single case, and I'm not going to list all of those, but it's really technical. But in many cases, they do become repeaters, and your home automation network, be it Z-Wave, Zigbee, Insteon, something else, generally does get stronger the more devices that you add to it. So it really is smart. And if you can do hard wiring where you're going to have these hubs located, and hopefully again in a central location, that helps you out even further, because you're not running weird wires, you're not trying to put them in a spot that that you really don't want to place them in, but that you're stuck with. So that's kind of my commentary on that. And again, thanks to Alan for kind of sharing his information and his update on what he's going through in his own home. So let's move on to the next one. Thanks, Alan. And the next one, it's Ride Merlin, R-Y-D-M-E-R-L-I-N. Pronounce it as you wish. For child safety, can it alarm on your phone when the door is open? This person is referring to the Eve sensor. It was a comment on the Elgato Eve door and window sensor, which I have famously installed behind me, but it's hard to do these demos and move things around real quick. So there's been some demos that I've already done on this exact topic. The answer to the question is yes, it can alarm on your phone. The challenge is with HomeKit as it is right now, although I'm assuming this is going to get fixed this summer, when you turn on notifications, you tend to get one of these notifications that the door, with the door and window sensor installed on it, was either opened or closed, and it happens all the time. You can't define a certain time range to say, well, or better yet, a geolocation, like when I'm not at home, tell me about what's going on at home. Because if you're already at home and say that you live in a relatively small place like I do, it's kind of useless to get a push notification every time you open your own front door and close it. Just kind of useless. So Apple, please work on it. They probably already have this waiting in the wings with HomeKit. We'll hear more about that at WWDC in early June, and that I'm really hoping that they solve a number of HomeKit challenges, because it really is kind of a pain sometimes. And now, having worked with HomeKit and the Home app for nearly a year now, many of us have really found out the limitations of it, and there are some major challenges. They turned on the notifications a number of months ago, so you could get this instant real-time notifications and feedback, but again, it's just not quite fully there yet. So you can get the notifications, but you're going to get all of them all of the time, and you'd have to go in and manually turn those on and off, which is a pain. You'll forget about it, and then again, like they were saying, for child safety, which is a good thing to know, did your child leave the house? You know, it's really it won't be able to tell you who left the house, but you'll know that something is going on if you're not there. So that's definitely a good use for it. But again, right now, it's just not a perfect solution. Hopefully that should be solved in a few months. Not a physical hardware problem, it's a software problem, so that can be addressed and adjusted. So to RYD Merlin, thank you very much for your comment. And let's move on to the last one, kind of a shorter episode this time. From George, this again, just a comment, not really a question. In real life, all of those smart gadgets produce more troubles rather than convenience. Stop wasting resources on, he says to money. Stop wasting resources, probably, and money, and do something really useful. Now, I can say that in one sense, I can agree with him, and I can play the devil's advocate in this, because I was thinking about this the other day. When I was actually using my Apple Watch to go pay for something. I think it was over at Payway. And it's happened a couple times when the reader doesn't work, the cashier has to like reboot half the system to make it operate. And this is just the case with anything that's computer related or electronics related. Almost everything needs a restart now and again. And I'm going to say almost everything so that everyone doesn't skewer me in the comments saying, you said everything, and that's not right. So almost everything needs some sort of restart. I don't care what it is. Even your Mac needs a restart now and again. And even the most resilient systems sometimes just need a clean restart. And I find this out occasionally with home automation, and I find this because in general, the products that I either purchase to review on the show, that I receive for free, full disclosure, just so we can say full disclosure, this was sent for a review. Haven't actually reviewed it yet, although I've come very close. The sister product of this, the flood bulb, you can see, I'll link it in the information on the Z-Moto review that I added that as an add-in. But anyways, just full disclosure, LIFX did send that product for free to Smarter Home Life for review purposes, and I showed it off during this show, so kind of have to mention that to you. But anyways, things that I purchase or get from manufacturers to review for the channel and for the website, I tend to try as best as I can to integrate them into the smart, as I call it, the Smarter Home Life home studios here, the very, very tiny space that I have. But sometimes it's a challenge because you instantly find out as soon as you integrate something into scenes and into automations, and if that something doesn't work 100% of the time and you use it on a regular basis, you immediately find out how much of a pain it is to perhaps take that thing and go find where it's plugged into, unplug it, wait for a few seconds, plug it back in, look at your app, hope that it restarts itself, get it back into sync, and whatever other steps are required to get it kind of happy again. And you find, and you know, I'm saying this to you, you will find this out. I find it out quite quickly, and it is annoying. These devices that are supposed to solve problems and adjust things automatically and make everyone's life easier and more efficient and more, more energy frugal, we'll say, when it just doesn't work, it does kind of suck. Let's just say that. It's just, when home automation doesn't work, it sucks, okay? And if it can save you some energy, or let's just say for Earth Day, if it can save the planet a little bit of resources, then it's worth it. Remember that home automation goes back, we go back decades, right? When the original idea was lighting, and this was when lighting was incandescent and halogen. This was before CFL. So it actually made a ton of sense to control your lighting, because lighting at its worst can take, let's just say, I think the experts agree, somewhere between 13 to 18% of your electric bill. And depending on where you live, that could be higher or lower based on electric rates. But back with those, you know, very, let's just energy guzzling, you know, incandescent and halogen light bulbs that were truly using 60 watts instead of, you know, 9 watts like we have with LED, it was a big thing to save energy. So at the core of home automation is still trying to save energy, while on top of today just being ridiculously convenient. But there is a benefit to it all. That's why lighting has always been kind of like a top, the easy sell with home automation, because it's controlling your lights, and now you can do it from anywhere and you can automate it, and it's very, very easy for most people. So that's kind of my deep dive into that. Technology, home automation, whatever technological bits that you have, when they don't work as advertised and you have to kind of do something else at that moment, yeah, it's not the greatest. So that's it for this Q&A for home automation covering March 2017. As I said at the top of the show, send me the email, questions@smarterhomelife.com, with the subject line, how I use home automation. And tell me, what's your #1 use in your daily life? How do you use home automation? What's your, you know, what product you use? What are you using it for? What's your #1 use of it? And I'm curious, and we'll put out the answers and kind of the top 3 or 4 or 5, put them out on social media. Speaking of social media, if you're not following Smarter Home Life on Twitter, on Facebook, and soon Instagram and Pinterest, you're missing out, because there's a number of things that get posted there that don't happen on the website, that don't happen on the YouTube channel. So there's stuff that happens every day between videos and between website postings. So that is pretty much it. And I think, of course, as always, your questions drive these Q&A episodes and help to drive the show in general. Kind of like if you have comments, or, you know, saying something like, hey, have you heard about this product? It's pretty cool. Could you review it? You know, and I will always try to work with the manufacturer and see if they want to be introduced to the Smarter Home Life audience. So send them in, questions@smarterhomelife.com, and I will usually try to get back to you within a couple of days, or send you a kind email saying it'll be a little bit longer than that. Otherwise, I'm Joe DeCansick. Thanks for watching. Remember to make your home just a little bit smarter every single day. It just takes a little bit of time. Other than that, I'll see you next time.